Because of a curse, he, as a man, gave birth to twins. The older sister, Ariel, inherited exceptional talent. At 7, she joined the Pathfinder organization and became their rising star. But the younger brother, Azadin, inherited the curse, becoming someone born without eyes and unable to use magic, a monster. Yet, unexpectedly, these very flaws become Azadin's greatest advantages. Without eyes, his perception surpasses all others, his vision penetrating. He even sees into people's hearts. Because he cannot use magic, he internalizes magical energy into raw power. One retreat takes him 100 meters, and Azadin's first appearance comes because of a wish made by a woman with her life. That day, the woman's husband excitedly gives her a gold coin and tells her a legend about it. Legend says this is an emperor's coin. Simply draw a triangle around it, and you can summon a pathfinder to grant your wish. But it's a dangerous thing. The Holy King's order calls them evil blasphemers. Something so dangerous, and you're giving it to me? While the woman is still shocked, her husband sneaks a kiss. However, such happiness doesn't last long. The village encounters a drought unseen in 1,000 years. Not a single grain of food can be harvested, so the villagers are forced to migrate. But at that moment, 20 fully armed members of a rescue squad arrive at the scene. But without a word, they launch a massacre on the people. This is the Count's order. But the Count's son, Cedric, finds simple slaughter boring, so he adopts an even more brutal method. As for that couple, the husband's waist was slashed when he resisted, so the Count's son deliberately ties rope above the wound. On one hand, gravity constantly tears and widens the injury. On the other hand, the victim won't die quickly. The wife can only support her husband with her small body to prevent his condition from worsening. This makes the Count's son even more intrigued. He brings a whip and lashes the woman viciously. Yet despite the waves of excruciating pain, the wife's arms holding her husband never loosen. Just as the Count's son wants to continue, a knight approaches. He is Zane, the Count's son's swordsmanship instructor. You, as a noble bearing sacred king's blood, how can you do this? Aren't you afraid word of this will spread? But facing his instructor's threat, the Count's son remains unmoved. He only stops when he grows tired of beating her. Afterward, the woman struggles to maintain this position until afternoon. Unable to bear it anymore, the husband uses every ounce of strength to open his mouth and make a sound. Celia, I beg you, please run. After these words, he makes no more sound. His voice is faint, but to his wife's ears, it rings crystal clear. She shakes her head desperately. Then she takes out the gold coin her husband gave her and places it on the ground, drawing a triangle symbol around it, a pathfinder. A pathfinder will come save us. Legend says the Pathfinder clan are cursed people who must collect emperor's coins by helping contractors fulfill wishes to break their curse. The contract takes effect within 2 days. In desperation, the wife becomes the most devout believer under heaven. But ironically, even her husband didn't believe that legend. He only meant to make his wife happy. Soon the wife collapses from dehydration and exhaustion. When she regains consciousness, it's already the next morning. Zane secretly comes to give her water and uses a stick to support her husband. Once the woman wakes, he immediately prepares to leave. I can't let the young master know I was here, or I'll face consequences I cannot bear. As for your husband, there's no need to keep doing this. Zane's words have essentially pronounced a death sentence on the man. Yet the wife still insists on supporting her husband. This scene makes Zane freeze instantly, and his guilt deepens, even though he didn't participate in the violence against the villagers. Please tell me your name. A glimmer of light suddenly appears in the woman's eyes. When the Pathfinder arrives, I'll ask him to spare you. Completely opposite to the woman's hopeful gaze, Zane's eyes are filled with pity. He never imagined someone would truly place hope in such an elusive legend. Even if Pathfinders really exist, the rescue squad has 20 soldiers, and more importantly, the Count's son carries sacred king's blood in his veins. You should know what that means. King's blood possesses immensely powerful and sacred magical power. Ordinary people cannot possibly defeat magic. Zane's words don't waver the woman in the slightest. Her gaze becomes even more resolute. Pathfinders are also mages who have killed bearers of sacred blood many times. They are godslayers. They can win. Zane doesn't argue further. He thinks she's lost her mind from the trauma. My name is Zane, a radiant knight of the Holy King's order. I'm not telling you my name to beg for mercy. If those soulless heretics truly come, I will fight them with everything I have. Zane means executioner in Turkish, and it's because of him that today's demon exists. He leaves with a promise to return in the evening, then departs. The woman looks at the coin that should have remained quietly in the triangle but has vanished. She grits her teeth with relief. Just 2 days. Within 2 days, they will come. Today's sun is exceptionally harsh. It seems worse than any day before. Back at the rescue squad camp, Cedric and Zane clash again. Zane believes the disaster's source is the climate and the villagers are innocent. The population could be relocated to more fertile lands, but Cedric's view is completely opposite. He believes sacred king's blood nourished this land, and the villagers' attempt to flee is disloyalty to the sacred. This brought divine punishment, making the scorching sun relentless. I'm saving them. The two part on bad terms. Time passes quickly and evening arrives. Zane keeps his promise and returns to the couple's location, wanting to help the woman again. But sadly, he can no longer see the woman's upright figure. Hours ago, the woman died from dehydration. Zane walks to their bodies. Nearly 2 days have passed since the woman cast her spell, but even if a Pathfinder truly comes as promised, nothing can be changed now. Zane mutters to himself, and disappointment inexplicably wells up in his heart. As a radiant knight of the Holy King's order, he actually hopes those heretics will appear and confront Cedric. But at that moment, an eerie black mist suddenly rises beside him. Before he can react, a sharp longsword is already pressed against Zane's neck. What is this ghostly swordsmanship and this cold, ominous aura? This feeling seems completely opposite to sacred magic. Zane quickly realizes the newcomer might be the legendary Pathfinder. You're a Pathfinder, really? After receiving confirmation, Zane truthfully states his name, a radiant knight. You're not the petitioner, are you? That would be too ironic. The other's flippant tone makes Zane furious. The man who arrived quickly surveys his surroundings and guesses that the dead woman nearby is the petitioner. According to the rules, if the petitioner petitioner dies, the coin goes to the arriving pathfinder as payment, but he still wants to learn the situation from Zane. If you remove your sword from my neck and step back, I'll gladly tell you. You think you wouldn't be captured so easily without an ambush? The man's figure flickers and he's already retreated 100 meters away. Impossible. Zane is shocked by the speed and precision of this movement. A ghost? Or magic? Are you a mage? The man shakes his head. Except for me, all other pathfinders are mages. This is merely physical ability beyond ordinary humans. This series of abilities piques Zane's curiosity. What's your name? As a pathfinder, what's your rank? The man answers truthfully. I'm Azadin, the 108th ranked pathfinder under the Emperor. What, 108th? Zane freezes on the spot. Legend says there are only 108 pathfinders total. Even the last one has this kind of power? As agreed, Zane reveals everything about the couple. I understand. How unfortunate. Azadin expresses amazement after hearing the story. At this moment, an owl swoops down. Contract fulfilled. The coin is yours, 108th messenger Azadin. Please proceed to your next task. Hearing a bird speak, Zane is startled. A talking bird alone surprises him, but the message it conveys disturbs him even more. So the petitioner died, and you're just taking the reward and leaving? Oh, it seems the Radiant Knight hopes the wish will be fulfilled? In that case, your young master's fate won't be pleasant. Realizing his careless words, Zane draws his sword. That's not it. I'll defeat you here, soulless heretic. But when Azadin sees the knight point his sword at him, he gives a cold laugh. Your sword stayed silent when facing true injustice, but now you swing it at me. Are you angry? Angry at whom? Angry at me, or angry at yourself? What do you know? Zane shouts, agitated. Azadin remains calm. Stars are the heroes that form constellations, but to some, they're merely faint lights in darkness. He says this while pointing to the woman's body. You view the victims differently than other soldiers. You tended to the petitioner and waited for me. No, there's no difference. I'm a Radiant Knight of the Holy King's order. I must revere and obey those with sacred blood. I have no intention of fighting you. If you have compassion for that woman, then your sword is not my enemy. Zane falls silent. Azadin turns his back to him. Though this is a perfect opportunity to attack, Zane cannot bring himself to strike this pathfinder. At this moment, Azadin's sword flashes, cutting the rope tied to the poplar tree. He catches the man's body in midair with one hand. What incredible physical prowess. Even Zane, confident in his own skills, sees that this man is a monster on a completely different level. So this is a pathfinder's power? Do you have a shovel? A shovel? You mean to bury them? Zane is confused. Since the petitioner is dead, after taking the coin, he has no obligation to care for them, yet now he wants to bury their bodies. If not, forget it. Azadin, with his back to Zane, begins digging the ground. Is he really going to bury the bodies? This itself is a challenge to Cedric. Cedric wants corpses hanging from every tree, corrupted by evil magic into undying creatures as symbols of his authority. He will not stand by. While Zane is still wondering, Azadin has already dug a small pit in the ground. Zane witnesses this scene. His fingers grip his sword tightly. He thinks about those bodies hanging from tree branches, rotting, stripped of even basic human dignity, like flags hanging over a tyrant's sadistic desires. How can he point his sword at someone laying bodies to rest in the ground? This thought makes him suddenly feel cowardly and pathetic. In the end, isn't he just a servant loyal to a tyrant? Zane sheathes his sword, walks up to Azadin, and begins digging with his hands. Soon the two finish burying the victims. Great angels of wisdom, courage, and mercy, have pity on them. Azadin clasps his hands in prayer. Zane is stunned. A follower of the evil emperor and member of the Pathfinder clan is reciting the Salvation Knights funeral rite. Salvation Knights? The Salvation Knights are another group besides the Holy King's order and the Pathfinder clan. You arrogant fool. Have you abandoned your birth family's fate to follow heretical beliefs? No, I simply admire the Salvation Knights' ideals, Azadin says calmly. If I cannot follow what I believe is right, then my birth has no meaning. Though clearly a young man, Zane senses remarkable maturity and composure in his words. What will you do about the rescue squad? Azadin turns his head without answering. He quickly removes his backpack strap and produces a longbow. From that direction, someone you revere is approaching. Zane is shocked. He turns and sees what he least wanted to see. Cedric leads a massive dark wave of soldiers, slowly approaching. You weren't interested in that woman, were you? You should have said so earlier. Turns out Cedric has known everything all along. Zane quickly looks up to observe. The number of arrivals is substantial. Nearly the entire rescue squad has come, fully armed. Even as a Radiant Knight, he has no guarantee of victory in this situation. But Azadin beside him shows no hesitation. He draws his bow and fires an arrow at the soldiers. The arrow flies swiftly. Following a sharp arc, it strikes a rear soldier's eye. In an instant, screams echo through the mountains. Without giving them a chance to breathe, Azadin fires another arrow. But the frontline soldiers are prepared. They think their sturdy shields can easily block the attack. But unexpectedly, the arrow pierces straight through the thick shields and hits the soldiers behind. This makes Zane freeze instantly. Arrows that curve in midair are shocking enough, but this force is even more astonishing. How much power does it take to achieve this? You just asked me what I do about the rescue squad, right? Azadin suddenly speaks. A person's worth isn't determined by their status, but by the beliefs and actions they uphold. Like those who bear sacred king's blood yet slaughter their own people. Even with sacred blood, they're not noble. Azadin's actions make Cedric erupt in fury. He immediately orders Zane to kill Azadin, but the moment he finishes speaking, Azadin leaps into the air and repeatedly pulls his bowstring. Arrows rain down like a storm, giving the soldiers no time to react. A large group of hit soldiers fall screaming. This battle shows an almost one-sided situation. Even Cedric's ear gets pierced by an arrow, but he quickly realizes something. This guy doesn't want to kill them, but to permanently disable them. Who the hell are you? Cedric roars, but before he finishes, Azadin appears behind him at an incredible speed. I'm Azadin, a pathfinder under the Emperor. What? A pathfinder? Those soulless creatures? One soldier breaks into a cold sweat. He seems to have heard sinister rumors about the Pathfinder clan. After that battle, Azadin has run out of arrows. Cedric realizes this this is a good opportunity and immediately orders his men to attack. But before he finishes speaking, a punch sends him flying. What Cedric doesn't expect is that, even after switching weapons to a longsword, Azadin's combat prowess remains astonishing. If you're brave enough, then come, you maniac. Though the soldiers fear Azadin, they also know Cedric's methods are equally cruel if they retreat, accompanied by screams. Almost all soldiers on site lose their fighting ability, their eyes destroyed or collapsed on the ground. Having done all this, Azadin walks up to Cedric. Sorry for the wait, you trash who only brings suffering to people. You bastard, I'm a noble. Cedric trembles with fear, but soon he turns around and uses magic to create an intense light. See this? This is my magic. It proves I possess incomparable noble bloodline. The brightness is so intense that even the newly blinded soldiers scream from the overwhelming light, yet Azadin seems completely unaffected. He swings his sword at Cedric. This strike doesn't hit a vital spot, but strikes his manhood. What do you want? Money? Women? I'll give you anything. I'm a descendant of the divine king of the Yeager's bloodline. An identity that terrifies almost everyone has no effect on Azadin alone. Is that so? What a coincidence. I'm a godslayer. Seeing intimidation doesn't work, Cedric's eyes scan around, and finally focus on Zane, who still stands. Sir Zane, what are you doing? Save me. I can't see. Perhaps the light still affects Zane's vision. He makes no move. I'm a noble, a descendant of the divine king. Why should I suffer for a few lowly commoners? Cedric roars again. Finally, he loses his last eye. The Emperor's will has been executed. Though Azadin killed no one, he has given the criminals their due punishment. But at this moment, the sound of a sword being drawn comes from behind. Zane has drawn his sword. No matter how righteous your actions, I'm a radiant knight of the Holy King's order and cannot stand by. Looking at the stubborn Zane, Azadin gives a bitter smile. A rigid knight, completely unlike other knights. You dare mock me? No, it's a compliment. Most other knights of the Holy King's order are villains who join to inherit divine positions. The moment he finishes speaking, black mist suddenly rises around Azadin. In such heavy armor, you can't catch me. Under Zane's shocked gaze, Azadin's figure vanishes into thin air. If fate allows, we'll meet again. His voice echoes in the air. Zane looks around, but only sees disabled soldiers covering the ground. Indeed, he really thrashed us thoroughly. Zane laughs inadvertently. He finds the burden in his heart seems completely lifted. Inside Mograth Castle, a large group of villagers arrives after an arduous journey, only to meet Cedric's father, Count Mograth. Because the village has had no rain for months, they've come to request tax exemption. People are displaced, the streets are filled with undying creatures, we simply cannot gather the tax payment. Count Mograth's gaze is cold. Today you dare request tax exemption. Tomorrow will you demand food aid? Knowing Count Mograth's twisted nature, the village chiefs have no other choice. If the blood in your veins were as noble as mine, perhaps I'd accept this proposal. Otherwise, if you can't gather the taxes on time, he'll execute these people by hanging. At these words, the scene instantly falls silent. But unexpectedly, today Count Mograth makes a rare exception. But there's one condition. They must find that page for him. Count Mograth says this while opening his palm. A magic book appears out of thin air. This is pure fantasy to villagers who know nothing about magic. But Count Mograth says not to worry, because even without understanding magic, as long as the desire in their hearts is strong enough, that page will respond to the call and appear. If they truly find it, Count Mograth promises not only 3 years of tax exemption, but 20,000 liters of wheat annually. With such a heavy reward, the village chief knows that page must be extraordinary. So someone asks its name, a fragment of the divine king's tome. Count Mograth's voice remains arrogant. Hearing this name, everyone freezes. On the former Pride continent, there were 8 thrones. Each throne was occupied by the Yeager's bloodline bearing sacred blood. But King Izaroth, with outstanding ability, conquered his 7 brothers, seized all 8 thrones, and crowned himself emperor. At the same time, the Alcazar people, predecessors of the Pathfinders and Outsiders, arrived on this continent. They urgently needed land to settle. The emperor needed to erase traces left by the 7 kings, so he bestowed upon these outsiders a tome called the Golden Bird's Verse and a soul called the Emperor's Voice. In exchange, these outsiders signed an agreement with the emperor and became his pathfinders. From then on, the Alcazar clan's hands were stained with sacred blood. They became the emperor's hounds, bringing punishment upon evil nobles who violated the emperor's decrees. But this period didn't last long. With the emperor's death, the empire split again into 8 independent kingdoms. From then on, the Alcazar were ostracized by the world, called people without souls. But even though the emperor is dead, their contract remains in effect. The Alcazar clan must still fulfill the pathfinder's duty forever. After dismissing the village chiefs, a soft rustling sound comes from behind the curtain behind the count. Then a large serpent slithers out, straightens its body, and transforms into a young, beautiful woman with bronze skin. Mentioning the divine king's tome's name seems somewhat reckless, Count. Nonsense. You witches are already busy searching for that book, aren't you? Rumors will soon spread across the entire continent. Even finding just one page would be good. The Count asks about her purpose for coming. The woman tells him about Cedric being attacked, but the Count doesn't believe this is true, because with Zane present, they couldn't be defeated so easily. Their opponent was a Pathfinder, the woman says calmly. Pathfinders also covet the divine king's tome to break their enslaving curse. Besides this, the woman tells the Count some good news. Cedric isn't dead, just blinded and disabled. The Count clicks his tongue and says he'll send soldiers to hunt down the Pathfinder. Understood. I'll contact the commander right away. No, leave this matter to someone else. The Count says this with an evil smile. Since my son is already crippled, let's just make another one. On the other side, after leaving the battlefield, Azadin has been wandering here for some time. Why boast that the contract takes effect within 2 days? It's complete nonsense. You foolish creature, how dare you be so disrespectful to the Emperor's voice? A majestic voice echoes beside him. The speaker is the spirit form of the Emperor's voice, responsible for hearing petitioners' requests and connecting them with nearby Pathfinder clan members. It's an artificial spirit created by the Emperor. Even centuries after the Emperor's death, the soul's power hasn't weakened, but remains as strong as before, proving the Emperor's power was nearly godlike. But Azadin scoffs at this. Honestly, the Emperor died without warning, leaving us messengers hated by the entire world. We're called Godslayers, soulless heretics, and all sorts of nicknames. More importantly, to reach the petition site within 2 days, he threw away almost all his luggage. Now he's about to die of thirst. Azadin's words leave the owl spirit unable to refute. How regrettable. But don't worry, your attendants will arrive soon. While the two bicker, Azadin instantly becomes alert. A ghostly blue flame drifts in the air. When Azadin approaches, several faces emerge from the shadows. He recognizes them as those who were hanged from a mulberry tree at the village entrance, and that petitioning couple. The ghosts clasp their hands and bow respectfully. Azadin nods in response. This land lacks the king's grace and the archangel's protection. Staying here brings you no benefit, so please proceed to the afterlife. The ghosts don't respond to Azadin's words. Instead, they point toward the village well. Azadin thinks they want to give him water, but when he eagerly pulls up the bucket, he finds not water inside but some sand and a glowing page. Is this one page of the Divine King's tome fragment? The source of the Emperor's power? Azadin's lips tremble, but at this moment, a ghostly flame drifts past him. The ghost's forms begin to dissipate. Rest in peace. Azadin holds the glowing page from the Divine King's tome. If I take on this task, can I truly break free from the bonds of duty? Calling it a curse isn't quite accurate. According to the agreement, it's an honorable duty, but it just had to fall into my hands. You don't look happy. Isn't this what you Pathfinders have been hoping for? The Emperor's voice says calmly. There are 2 ways to break the contract with the Emperor. First, collect 100,000 Emperor's coins. Second, obtain the Divine King's tome. I'm not at the point of happiness yet. Azadin gazes at the Divine King's tome in his hand, feeling fate's mysterious touch. The Divine King's tome was torn apart because of Azadin's father. Azadin leaves the village and resumes his journey. The dryness in his throat makes him very uncomfortable. At the same time, not far behind him, a small head peeks out from cover. That's the guy, rumored to be the most useless, foolish person in the clan, cursed and unable to use magic. The girl's words are full of disdain for Azadin. She believes someone like this is completely unfit for a Pathfinder position. Miss Melanie, we should go back. Beside her is a young boy of similar age. No, I want to test his skills. The girl takes out an arrow. This won't do. Hearing the girl wants to test his skills, the boy is startled. We attendants can't just attack Pathfinders. A duel should be fine, right? I can't possibly lose to someone who can't even use magic to prevent killing Azadin with 1 arrow. The girl thoughtfully breaks off the arrowhead, but he was specially promoted by Elder Kazas. So what? Just because Elder Kazas trained him for 10 years means he'll crush all other Pathfinders? Pushing aside distractions, the girl pulls the bowstring taut. Then she aims at Azadin and releases. This is the Alcazar clan's secret technique, twin arrow. The arrow flies swiftly, heading straight for Azadin's head. Before the attack hits, the girl crouches to hide. She anxiously listens to the distant sounds until there's complete silence. Only then does she dare peek out, but unexpectedly, a small pebble greets her. The pebble strikes her forehead precisely. Along with it comes Azadin himself. Was that arrow yours just now? Yes, it was me. A small greeting. Though she says this, the girl is shocked by Azadin's movement technique. She felt no presence of his approach. His movement is like a ghost, and at the same time, she sees 2 arrows in Azadin's quiver. Clearly, he caught her arrows. Left with no choice, the 2 reveal their purpose. The girl's name is Melanie, from the Ataria house, one of the 5 founding families of the Pathfinder clan. The boy is Aiden, Melanie's servant. They were sent by the clan to assist Azadin. Assist? In this manner? Azadin tosses back the arrow that just attacked him. I noticed your quiver was empty, so I offered my arrows. Isn't that excellent assistance? The girl actually uses this excuse to justify her attack. Azadin sighs helplessly. You should go home, child. Child? Melanie's face darkens at this word. I've said before I carry Ataria house bloodline, far nobler than you, a traitor's descendant. Bloodline means nothing for an attendant. Azadin turns away. You're here to work for me, so you're my subordinate. Setting that aside, you just attacked me. Azadin's expression darkens as he finishes. Perhaps I should show you the consequences of such actions. The oppressive aura makes Melanie feel intimidated. Is this really the person from the rumors? Weak, incompetent, someone anyone can bully? Please forgive my rudeness. If you want to get anything from me, then show proper respect, whether as a member of Alcazar or as an enemy. Which will you choose, enemy or clanmate? When Azadin asks this question, Melanie realizes he's not someone to trifle with and quickly apologizes. Though Azadin accepts the apology, he doesn't yield. He still tells him to go back where they came from. But just as he turns, he seems to remember something. By the way, do you have water? Melanie doesn't answer but glares fiercely at Azadin. I want a duel. No, this person is dangerous. But Aiden's attempt to stop her doesn't sway Melanie at all. She knows the rumors are wrong. Azadin isn't the fool from the legends. On the contrary, he seems both powerful and proud. But if she doesn't dare challenge him just because he's strong, wouldn't that make her coward? Pathfinder Azadin, I, Melanie, formally challenge your Pathfinder position. Seriously? If you win, my Pathfinder position is yours. But if I win, do you know the consequences? Of course. My life and death will be in your hands. Everything will belong to you. Azadin lowers his head. He knows his reputation within the clan isn't high. But still, losing to a 13-year-old girl is too much. Azadin tries again to refuse this duel, but Melanie firmly refuses. She turns and walks backward. This isn't to flee, of course, but to create distance from Azadin until they're 100 paces apart. Alright, 100 paces. Azadin, I challenge you. Really? Must we fight? Just as Azadin feels exasperated, a majestic voice suddenly rings out from above. Duel accepted. Pathfinder Azadin, accept the challenge. Oh my goodness, the Emperor's voice. Aiden panics. They say every Pathfinder has a spirit companion, the Emperor's voice. Now that it's become the witness, this duel is no longer child's play. This is bad. Aiden becomes anxious. He doesn't want anything to happen to the young lady he serves. No, no, I absolutely cannot lose. A few minutes later, Melanie is covered in wounds and silent. Clearly the duel's result isn't what she expected. Aiden recalls what just happened, still in disbelief. Without arrows, Azadin actually switched to using pebbles instead. You should know that with the bow's high angle, projectiles launched from the bowstring easily hit one's own hand. But Azadin did it. What incredible power. He used a technique passed down by the Alcazar. Wielding the bow like a catapult, the launched stones cut through the air toward Melanie. Unlike precise arrows, the stones' trajectories are unpredictable. Melanie panics and curls up. The stones hit the ground and bounce, shattering into fragments that attack Melanie again. Golden Bird's verse, barrier break. Melanie deploys a hazy moonlight shield to barely block the attack. Even more outrageous is Azadin's next strike. The pebble he shoots curves multiple times in midair. This isn't magic, of course, but applying spin to the projectile to achieve magic-like effects. Pebbles assault Melanie from all directions at different angles. Miss! On the left. Fortunately, Aiden calls out the attack direction so she isn't hit. The duel reaches its final stage. Azadin deliberately leaves an opening, making Melanie think she's seized a good opportunity. Now's the chance! Her swung blade precisely slashes across Azadin's abdomen, but his body disperses like black mist. Turns out she only hit an afterimage. The real Azadin has already appeared behind Melanie. She tries to cast magic to counter, but clearly his speed is faster. Azadin grabs her wrist. Then it's over. Azadin's fist instantly strikes Melanie's abdomen. With a loud bang, scent-flying Melanie crashes into a nearby mountain. Miss Melanie! Aiden beside her can't hold back and rushes over. Unforgivable, you lowly creature, how dare you! Aiden charges at Azadin through gritted teeth, wanting to save Melanie. But at this moment, the Emperor's voice rings out. Duel concluded. Melanie's challenge has failed. Your fate will be controlled by Pathfinder Azadin. Also, Aiden, you interfered in the duel and will become Azadin's slave along with Melanie. The Emperor's voice announces the duel's final result. After her defeat, Melanie is overcome with shame. She immediately draws her sword, wanting to end herself. But accompanied by the sound of metal clashing, the dagger flies from her hand. Azadin had already anticipated Melanie would do this after losing. Little girl, sorry, but your life is mine now. Without my permission, you don't even have the right to die. Melanie grits her teeth, struggling to calm herself. What a fanciful little girl. Watching Melanie's expression alternate between tense and relaxed, Azadin can't help but laugh. This lesson should be enough. Alright, Melanie and Aiden, you're free. What? Neither of them can believe what they're hearing. Not only that, Azadin even wants to erase this challenge record. After all, you don't want a record of needlessly picking fights with Pathfinders, right? Huh? Why? Melanie doesn't understand Azadin's intention. A girl like me with both beauty and talent right in front of you, and you're just letting me go without doing anything? Beauty and talent? Azadin scoffs. Beauty aside, if you had even half of Ariel's talent, you wouldn't have ended up in this situation. Ariel is Azadin's twin sister. Long ago, when the Emperor died unexpectedly, the Alcazar clan once won the Succession War and obtained the Divine King's tome fragment, just as all clan members thought they could use it to break the Emperor's contract. A traitor appeared within the clan, Akaros. He stole the Divine King's tome fragment and tore it apart, scattering it across the world. Though Akaros eventually died from a curse, this fact couldn't be changed. Because of the curse, Akaros, as a man, gave birth to twins, the older sister Ariel and the younger brother Azadin. Ironically, Ariel became the Alcazar's most powerful pathfinder, while the younger brother, Azadin, was a guy with no talent. After issuing an eviction order to the two, they continue following behind Azadin without leaving. I told you I won't accept you. Go back quickly. We're not following you. We just have something to give you. Melanie takes out an envelope. This is a letter from the Salasma regional director. Azadin takes the letter. The content reprimands him for missing too many interim reports and states that Divine King's tome fragments have been appearing worldwide recently. Recovery achievements will count toward performance evaluations. It's all in the letter. Seems other Pathfinders know. Azadin finishes reading the regional director's letter and sighs. You know about this too? We know about that. The Divine King's tome fragments were scattered worldwide when your father betrayed the clan. Melanie says without reservation. Aiden can't help but step on her foot. What are you doing? Why did you step on me? Yet Melanie completely fails to realize the seriousness. Forget it. So you know about this too. Azadin helplessly realizes he'll eventually have to visit the regional director as the letter says. Alright, thanks for delivering the letter. I received it. Then, can we travel with you for a while? Melanie's eyes light up. I can tell you what's been happening in the clan recently. I don't own this road. Follow if you want, Azadin says and walks straight ahead. Okay, Melanie follows excitedly. Azadin is currently in the most remote area of the Salasma border territory. Even following the main road, it's uncertain how long it'll take to reach Salasma, and this area seems to have been in drought for a month. But fortunately, they discover a small stream during their journey, so they prepare to fill their canteens. But at that moment, a voice suddenly rings out from the distance. Hey, who gave you permission to take water from our spring? 6 thuggish-looking guys rush over. Azadin doesn't want trouble, so he asks what they want. Everything, of course. Kill the girls, keep the boy for our brother's entertainment. The thugs, relying on their numbers, swagger forward arrogantly. Let me ask once more, is there really no room for negotiation? Why does this guy talk so much? Look at that mask on his face. What a clown? With the lead thug's command, they launch their attack, but Azadin simply squeezes the pebbles in his hand and instantly takes down the front 3. Only 3 remain, and they're immediately subdued by Azadin's displayed combat power, completely losing their will to fight. We're sorry, we failed to recognize greatness. The thugs kneel and reveal their identities. They were forcibly conscripted by Count Mograth's son, tasked with finding Divine King's tome fragments. The inland areas are already drought-stricken, everyone's becoming refugees or bandits. Melanie thinks they're lying, but Azadin feels they're telling the truth, since no merchants or travelers would pass this road. Then, to silence them, we must kill them. Melanie casually suggests. Wait, I'm not the type to kill people casually. We must kill them. Even if they truly reform, leaving them alive will expose our whereabouts. Aiden's position aligns with Melanie's. People only have one life. They should be given a chance to reform. Yes, Human life is paramount. You truly see clearly and understand righteousness. You'd think they've known Azadin forever with how skillfully they're flattering him. Azadin looks at them with a grin, then he punches the thug leader. But I'll leave each of you with a permanent memento. Don't move, otherwise it won't just be your eyeball flying off but your entire face. The remaining two thugs freeze in shock. Don't joke around. I just said don't move. It's only one eye. Ah! Piercing screams echo through the forest like thunder. Dozens of minutes later, Azadin releases the thugs as promised. You bastard! I curse you to death! The one-eyed thugs seem to have forgotten their flattery and now curse viciously. But at this moment, a massive hand suddenly appears and crushes one of them to death instantly. Turns out the newcomer is a giant troll. It grabs the remaining few and stuffs them into the bamboo basket on its back. Meanwhile, the troll spots the village in the distance. Humans, village, food, I'm coming! On the other side, after the goats have eaten and drunk their fill, Azadin's group resumes their journey. At first I thought you'd let them go, but seeing you do this, I think it's quite good. Those who bully the weak and rob others can only understand that feeling when they become weak themselves. When they lose an eye and become weak, they'll empathize. Though Azadin is kind, those who deserve punishment must still be punished. He's not worried about his actions, but concerned about something else. The thugs mentioned Count Mograth is also searching for Divine King's tome fragments. Aiden relays rumors he heard on the road. Could he have lost political power and now wants the Divine King's tome fragments to use magic's power for a comeback? Someone who only wants power is far too dangerous. So before leaving Mograth territory, Azadin removes his mask. This is the Pathfinder's symbol, an eagle mask striking in appearance. But the moment Azadin removes his mask, Melanie and Aiden are stunned. His high nose bridge and defined brow bone are striking. Quite handsome, except where his eyes should be, there's a horizontal scar. No eyes? That's why I'm called Azadin. The name comes from an eyeless evil dragon in the Pathfinder clan's ancient myths. Legend says the eyeless evil dragon Azadin, Death God's incarnation, waged an eternal battle of good versus evil with the righteous angel Ariel, ultimately perishing together on Doomsday. But you don't seem blind at all. Azadin explains he doesn't know why either. He's had no eyes since birth, yet this doesn't affect his vision. And the person who caused this scar is his sister Ariel. Azadin even remembers her words clearly, what should be there isn't. This way looks more pleasing. Thanks to this scar, after removing his mask, Azadin can perfectly disguise himself as a blind pilgrim. After walking for who knows how long, they finally reach the border's main road, Imperial Highway, which connects the continent's major cities. The village built on this highway is called Eastgate Village. As the name suggests, it serves as the gateway to Imperial Highway, a checkpoint. Melanie and Aiden are stunned by the search scene at the checkpoint. Last time it wasn't this extreme, you just paid a toll and passed through. But now mercenaries who clearly aren't good people are openly plundering. Azadin guesses they're searching so thoroughly because they're looking for Divine King's tome fragments. At this moment, a merchant nearby speaks to Azadin. Sir, are you blind? Yes, these two children are orphans on pilgrimage with me. From the merchant's account, Azadin confirms his guess. They're indeed searching for Divine King's tome fragments. Finding one brings a huge reward. This is trouble. The problem is, Azadin currently carries a Divine King's tome fragment on him. Just as he's thinking how to handle this, a commotion breaks out ahead. You said you're looking for the Divine King's tome. Why are you taking my money? Get lost. No one knows what form the magic tome might take. Maybe it's a magic tome shaped like coins. We'll examine it carefully, and if it's not the Divine King's tome, we'll return it. Though they say this, the mercenaries have no intention of returning what they've seized. The man's daughter also steps forward to stop them, but the mercenaries don't care at all. Those damned bastards. What do we do? Fight them? Wait, let's see what happens first. Azadin stops the two, because he sees a messenger approach the mercenaries. They seem to be talking about something. After the conversation, the mercenaries turn pale with shock. They begin packing up weapons and plundered goods. That's it for today. They only let through those already searched. Others are ordered to stay in lodgings outside the checkpoint. Then they enter the gate and close it. What's going on? The merchant frowns angrily. I heard a troll was spotted nearby. Azadin tells the merchant, my hearing is sharp. I clearly heard what they said. What? The merchants and travelers left outside the checkpoint are terrified. They pound on the checkpoint gate, but the soldiers ignore them completely. Inside the walls, a white-haired man sits in a carriage. He's Count Mograth's illegitimate son, Talon. Hearing of the troll attack, he prepares to flee with soldiers, abandoning the town. Trolls are hard enough to deal with, let alone with goblin troops. Talon has no reason to waste his private soldiers fighting here. No choice, retreat with the spoils. At this moment, someone calls out to Talon, the village's acting chief. He asks how the situation should be resolved. Talon dismisses it casually. Repel them, of course. You've received sufficient training, you should be able to handle this. I'm leaving it entirely to you. Having said this, he drives away. But the militia led by the village chief only received 1 day of training. This is clearly throwing eggs at a rock. The ground seems to be shaking. Just as the sun is about to set, the village chief disobeys orders and opens the gate. He knows the aging middle-aged men of the militia cannot possibly defend the village, so he prepares to let merchants and travelers in to defend together. The young and strong will stay in the village, while the elderly, weak, women, and children evacuate. Because of this strategy, Azadin's group joins the evacuation. Since they're disguised as a blind man and 2 children, the villagers treat them especially well. They even give them their only lantern. Azadin understands the chief's thinking. He doesn't want to drive these villagers away, but to protect them. Inside the walls is actually more dangerous than outside. As he says this, he seems to think of something and stops. Let's part ways again. Azadin's figure is wrapped in black mist. Seconds later, he completely vanishes. On the other side, outside, the troll arrives at the walls with numerous goblins. The swarm of figures is intimidating, but more troublesome is the lead troll. His height even reaches a terrifying 5 meters. The troll coming down several paths has captured several humans. "You're all mine, Grom's food." Saying this, the troll lifts his right leg and slams the ground, instantly making the walls shake. "Fire arrows," the village chief orders. The archers begin shooting, but nearly every goblin holds a shield, so the attack isn't very effective. The lead troll grabs a massive boulder and hurls it at the gate. The terrifying impact nearly blasts the gate open. Seeing humans completely at a disadvantage, some villagers waver. "Should I run? Maybe I could survive if I flee now." At this moment, a goblin mage hiding to the side picks up a specially crafted staff. "Divine King's Tome, the Divine King's Tome is mine." Just as he finishes speaking, a man in an eagle mask appears and kicks him over. Not only that, when villagers are attacked by the troll, he also saves 2 villagers. "The newcomer is Azadin. I'll help you defend the gate." "Who are you?" The village chief is amazed by Azadin's movement technique. "A passing pathfinder of the Emperor." He says this, then removes the bow from his waist and strings it. "A pathfinder of the Emperor? A pathfinder?" While people are puzzled, Azadin has already leaped down from the wall. He reaches out, grabs an arrow, and shoots. The arrow splits into 2, simultaneously piercing the troll's eyes. The troll screams and falls backward. Then he furiously swings his obsidian axe wildly, but having lost both eyes, he can't even walk steadily. Azadin jumps onto the troll's head and begins clearing the remaining goblins. Amazing! The battle instantly reverses. The most powerful troll has lost combat ability. At this moment, their basket of spoils suddenly falls over. The humans inside struggle out. Azadin notices the thugs from before are among them. At this moment, the goblin mage struggles to his feet. Then his arms begin mutating. "The Divine King's Tome is mine. I will become king of all races." Blood-red chunks of flesh shoot out from the goblin's body like ropes. Sharp teeth emerge from the flesh chunks, tearing at everything they touch. Azadin watches this bizarre scene and clicks his tongue. Kulthu Pantheon, the Fang King. The Kulthu Pantheon were savage gods who ruled this land before the Yegas arrived. Many beasts served them. The monster continues devouring nearby corpses. Then the goblin's head emerges from within. "Come, Yegas dogs, hand over the Divine King's Tome." The goblin mage raises his staff. Immediately, a beam of light shoots toward Azadin, illuminating the Divine King's Tome fragment hidden on him. Before he can finish, Azadin's sword grazes the goblin's head. "What was that light?" "It seems to point to the Divine King's Tome. Are they also searching for this?" Azadin finds it strange. While thinking, he dodges the monster's attacks. Azadin picks up the rusty goblin sword from the ground and charges forward. A blade flash, he slices through the tooth-filled gums. The teeth on the flesh are too large. Teeth without deep roots are fragile. "Arrogant! I am the Fang King." "No, you're just an insignificant minion created by the Fang King." Azadin corrects the goblin. Immediately, the two enter fierce combat again. Meanwhile, smoke rises from Azadin's sword. The monster's tentacles secrete powerful digestive fluid that corrodes the blade. Tisk Azadin tosses the sword aside. This battle brings too much trouble with no reward at all. Yet facing the vicious tooth whip attacks, he has no time to worry about weapons. The watching villagers panic. "Fire arrows! We need to help that pathfinder somehow," the village chief shouts. "But helping the pathfinder clan. If the Holy King's order finds out, that's a serious crime." Despite this being a serious offense, the village chief scoffs. "Those damned Holy King's order people have already abandoned us. Who's left to punish us? We just want to attack the monster. After the monster's defeated, then worry about capturing pathfinders or whatever. That's the plan." "Yeah." The villagers raise their bows together and start shooting. Azadin watches the arrows fly overhead and gives a bitter smile. Compared to his own arrows, these are weak and feeble. "I wish they'd give me those arrows." Still, at least while fighting the monster, they see Azadin as one of their own. This satisfies him. Azadin picks up a tooth resembling a shark's tooth. He turns and hurls it. The tooth cutting through air even tears the tentacles, then plunges deep into the monster's body. The sudden intense pain makes it struggle in agony. Good, this method works. Azadin continues picking up teeth he cut off earlier, rapidly throwing them. They fly sharp toward the monster, riddling it with holes. Unable to endure the pain, the goblin's head emerges from the monster's body. "You bastard! I was about to become the Fang King. Why stop me?" "Unfortunately, I'm a god slayer," Azadin answers. He throws another sharp tooth, splitting the goblin's head in 2. Then the monster's body begins crumbling. Azadin carefully avoids the flesh on the ground and picks up the fallen magic staff. At this moment, voices come from behind. "Soulless heretic." They glare at Azadin. Some have even drawn their bowstrings. How rude. Drawn bowstrings can lead to misfires. Azadin sighs. Among the people, some surely appreciate Azadin's help and welcome him, but others are suspicious. What are your true intentions? Why eliminate those monsters? Did you bring these creatures? Some people deeply detest the Pathfinder clan and even start being unreasonable. They've been taught that the Emperor's Pathfinders are soulless heretics, terrible beings who deserve death. It's not strange some think this way. Everyone knows, Azadin raises his voice. "I'm simply following the Emperor's coin's instructions to complete a task. Because someone made a wish for your sake with an Emperor's coin." "Ah, who? Could they be among us?" "I have no obligation to tell you, nor the right to reveal it." Azadin ignores the flustered people. "May I pass? Or will you challenge me for the Holy King's order? Don't insult our prospects." Though the villagers say this, none dare release their arrows. "Then I'll be going." Azadin easily climbs the wall and grabs a handful of arrows from a quiver. "Taking a few arrows should be fine, right? No one attack." The village chief stops everyone. Then he mutters softly, "Thank you." He deliberately keeps his voice low so others can't hear. How foolish. Such words are a death sentence. Azadin jumps down from the wall and enters the checkpoint. "A coin? Really, you lie without batting an eye." The Emperor's voice rings in Azadin's ear. "Don't you think they're too much? You help them repel monsters and this is their attitude? Everyone has weak moments. Anyway, they treated me well as a fake blind man. I'm satisfied. They deserve kindness too," Azadin says, quickening his pace. "But I'm really tired, and I didn't even get a single coin." Running along the highway for about a meal's time. Soon Azadin sees Melanie and Aiden Aiden's figures. To wait for him, the two deliberately left the group. What? You defeated the Kulthu Pantheon? Azadin tells them what happened. Both are shocked, but Aiden quickly lowers his head. You expended so much energy for nothing, not even getting a single coin, Azadin tells him. Helping people who need help is a good thing. Without such ideals, life becomes very dull. Saying this, Azadin suddenly produces a staff. By the way, Melanie, do you know what this is? Is it a magic staff? Melanie takes the ancient staff Azadin hands her. It's what Azadin seized from the Kulthu Pantheon. I need to concentrate to appraise it. I'm too tired right now. Oh right, Melanie suddenly widens her eyes. You're entrusting this to me. Does this mean you accept me as your attendant? Not really. Meeting clanmates so far from home, I can at least help with this much, right? Melanie nods, but she asks Azadin to promise her something in return. Sure, no problem. Tell me tomorrow, Azadin says and leaps up. We need to hurry now. Several hours later, they finally catch up with the evacuation group. Ah, we're so glad you're safe. Everyone is happy that Azadin's group is unharmed. After catching up with the crowd, Azadin tells them his hearing is excellent. He heard victory cheers from the village, so they can turn back. The evacuees are skeptical, but when they see lights on the mountaintop at Eastgate Village, they basically confirm the village is safe. Send a few people back to the village to confirm first. It's not too late to act after that, Azadin suggests. Let's do that. People decide to temporarily stop fleeing and select fast runners to return to the village to confirm the situation. After escorting the villagers back to town, Azadin rushes non-stop to the next location. After being so tired, he absolutely can't waste his effort. Dozens of minutes later, Azadin arrives at a camp where the Count's illegitimate son Talon and mercenaries are stationed. In the darkness, someone watches them, especially when seeing Talon's spoils chest. The Emperor's voice's eyes light up directly. This is a big haul. Right, my travel funds are almost gone. Early the next morning, Talon gathers all the mercenaries. What happened? You let someone steal our things? The mercenaries explain they were attacked and knocked out before they could react. But Talon doesn't care. Take someone's money, do their work. He immediately turns on the mercenary captain. This is your responsibility. No objections to docking a month's pay, right? The captain agrees. Also, I lost something too. This doesn't look like ordinary thieves' work at all. Seems we can only stop here. Talon isn't stupid. He knows if he presses further, the mercenaries might mutiny. However, the mercenary captain whose pay wasn't docked seems unsatisfied. The guy who stole that thing will probably go to a nearby village. Would Sir Talon order us to raid that village? What? Wait, the nearest village is the way station town we passed through, right? That's managed by nobles, not easy to handle. Talon rejects the proposal and points at the mercenary captain, cursing him to be more respectful when speaking. The mercenary captain grins. Doesn't matter. Even if you don't agree, we'll raid in your name. What did you say? What does that mean? Talon looks confused at the mercenary captain speaking strange words. At this moment, the mercenary captain draws a dagger and suddenly stabs it into Talon's abdomen. Captain! The mercenaries are shocked by this sudden insubordination. He actually stabbed a blade into his employer's stomach. Don't worry. This dagger came from a witch. Talon is shocked. He clearly feels a stabbing pain in his abdomen. Yet there's no bleeding, not even a wound. No, rather the dagger has somehow turned into a bizarre spider. That quickly burrows into his stomach. The mercenary captain stares at Talon with a smile. You're fine for now, right? Talon is furious and draws his sword. Even as just an illegitimate son, Talon received solid swordsmanship training, but the mercenary captain across from him just whistles. Talon feels intense pain in his lower abdomen. Immediately he collapses to his knees. Calm down first. The spider that burrowed into your belly only bit you lightly. If you don't listen to me, the spider will lay eggs in your stomach, and when they hatch, Talon trembles all over, struggles to get up. What do you want me to do? The mercenaries look at their captain, faces filled with fear, thinking he wasn't like this before. I want to commandeer the way station town and find the guy who stole my stuff, the mercenary captain says with a smile, but his eyes flash with vicious killing intent. On the other side, Azadin returns to Melanie and Aiden. He found another staff identical to the Kulthu Pantheon's from Talon's spoils chest, so he wants Melanie to appraise it, but Aiden beside her suddenly snatches it. Leave it to me. Moments later, he begins appraising. Aiden says he senses two types of magic power, green and black. If it were the Fang Kings, it should have red magic mixed in. Azadin guesses it's from another member of the Kulthu Pantheon. Aiden agrees with this view. As for this staff's function, it locates a special item. Hearing this, Azadin pauses. So this locates Divine King's tome fragments. The person who lost the staff definitely won't let us go. So after thinking it over, Azadin returns to the mercenary camp to observe their reaction. Today's atmosphere is completely different from yesterday. The mercenaries seem to be maintaining weapons and equipment, preparing for war. Azadin tells Melanie what he observed. They seem to be preparing to attack the way station town. Hearing this, Melanie pauses. That town's scale is extraordinary, far beyond ordinary villages, so she guesses the mercenaries must be compelled by something, otherwise they wouldn't make such a suicidal plan. So Azadin decides to avoid those mercenaries and head to the town first. The sun sets. This time Azadin still disguises himself as a blind man and easily passes through the checkpoint into way station town. Called a town, but in this sparsely populated area, calling it a major city wouldn't be excessive. At this time, the way station town happens to be holding a market. Merchant caravans wagons are parked in the open space at the village entrance. It's the Karasa Trading Company. Wonderful. Melanie and Aiden discover wagons bearing the Karasa Trading Company's banner and are overjoyed because this company is one of the disguised organizations operated by the Pathfinder clan, the Alcazar people. In other words, all members of this company are Alcazar. The moment Azadin enters, the performers and caravan guards notice him. They all show malicious smiles. Well, if it isn't the famous 108th Pathfinder, Lord Azadin. Only 3 months as a Pathfinder and you already have 2 attendants? Quite prestigious, Azadin sighs. It's always like this. To the Pathfinder clan, Azadin is the son of the traitor Akaros, forever unforgivable. We're still clanmates. Shoo my goats. You can manage this small task, right? Of course. We dare not disobey your orders. Azadin turns and hands the valuables stolen from the mercenaries to another person. Exchange these for money too. And if you you have blue steel arrowheads, can you get me some? These are fine goods you've got. Where'd you steal them? Azadin hears them mocking him, but he's long used to it. Even worse when Azadin asks to bathe and change clothes. The caravan people actually toss him a dress. Can you stop with the childish pranks? I don't want to use force on you. Azadin sighs and returns the clothes. What did you say, punk? You want to fight us? Looking for death? If you hadn't lucked into becoming a pathfinder, we'd be equals. Turns out these Karasa Trading Company members are all Azadin's fellow trainees. At this moment, a voice rings out. If you really feel dissatisfied, duel him. The speaker is Melanie. Duel? You crazy little girl, that guy can't even take one of my punches. They all glare fiercely at Melanie, but her expression doesn't change. The next second, Melanie moves. Using the feather step technique from the Golden Bird's verse, she instantly vanishes from everyone's sight. In the blink of an eye, Melanie has leaped onto the back of one of Azadin's colleagues. Her dagger presses against his throat. Wait, little girl, what are you doing? Little girl, don't you understand the situation? I'm a descendant of Itaria House. You lowly person dare be so disrespectful to my pathfinder? Melanie's dagger trembles slightly. The sound of skin breaking accompanies blood seeping out. Her murderous attitude leaves the company members at a loss. This posture really looks serious. At this critical moment, a voice comes from the crowd. All right, everyone calm down. The speaker is a young man with golden hair, Drac. He's this caravan's leader. Long time no see, Azadin. I apologize on behalf of my team members. So could you stop now? The leader's appearance eases the situation. After ending this farce, he walks to Azadin's side. Go take a bath first. We'll eat together after. Drac has some things he wants to ask Azadin. Not about matters between them, of course, but about his sister Ariel. Turns out when Drac was very young, he once attacked Ariel, but was severely injured by her instead. Especially his ankle suffered a comminuted fracture. The caravan's camp consists of many tents. After bathing in a tent, Azadin feels refreshed all over. Lord Azadin. Aiden's voice suddenly rings out. Ariel, who shares your bloodline, is respected, isn't she? I heard anyone who dares question her eventually pays the price. Aiden's meaning is he wants Azadin to learn Ariel's style. This way he won't suffer humiliation anymore. But Azadin politely declines. He says everyone should have their own style. After bathing, Azadin attends Drac's dinner by invitation. Right away, Drac eagerly asks about Ariel's recent situation. But Azadin says he knows nothing. You guy, don't you even care about your sister's situation? With her abilities, she's not someone who needs concern, okay? Azadin says and reaches for an apple. But Drac pulls the basket of apples away. Your subordinate attacked company people, right? You knew they were from Sabin House and still dared touch them? Azadin doesn't respond. He takes out the staff seized from the Kulfu Pantheon. I recently eliminated some trolls and goblins and got this. Do you know what this is? Drac nods. The regional director is looking for you because of this. Kulfu Pantheon cultists are searching for Divine King's tome fragments, and this is their tool for finding them. Everyone in Alcazar knows these things, yet no one told Azadin. Anyway, bringing back this bone staff is a great achievement. By the way, did those cultists have the Divine King's tome? No, they didn't. But what are you saying? Did you get the Divine King's tome from somewhere else? I did get it. Other messengers didn't? Drac widens his eyes. You got a Divine King's tome fragment? Hand it over quickly. Azadin calmly takes a bite of apple. Giving it to you is more dangerous. One of Count Mograth's sons is bringing mercenaries here. You think I'd lose to them? Maybe I'd lose to Ariel, but anyway, I was once a pathfinder. That's the problem. A group of merchants displaying strength beyond their station. Won't that arouse suspicion? Drac is furious with Azadin. To protect the Divine King's tome, none of that matters. Besides, you're much weaker than Ariel. Azadin can't deny this. Since childhood, Ariel's strength has far surpassed his own. Though 10 years have passed and Azadin has grown much stronger, he doesn't even dare imagine how strong Ariel has become. Azadin shakes his head. He decides to hand the Divine King's tome directly to the regional director. Just as Drac and Azadin are at loggerheads, a company member suddenly bursts in. Eastgate. There's trouble at the Eastgate. Waystation Town is managed by Count Salasma's knights. At dusk, a young knight arrives at the waystation with mercenaries. It's Talon and his mercenary group. The gate knight refuses them entry, citing too many people. It's getting dark. Camp at the inn or open ground outside today. Come back tomorrow. This isn't wrong. By the rules, it should be so. But Talon knows what they're thinking. He quietly walks over and slips them money. Please accept this small token. Sir Talon, this is difficult. The knight accepts the bribe, but just as he's about to let them through, a sharp longsword pierces through the knight's head. The attacker is the mercenary captain. Immediately, the other gate soldiers are eliminated. Talon is surprised by this action. I didn't want him dead! You openly attacked a checkpoint. The Holy King's order will investigate, and it's a serious crime. The mercenary captain is indifferent. He raises his palm, then blows on it. The small spiders on his hand are sent onto his subordinates. In that instant, the mercenaries' bodies begin mutating. Power. Abundant power. Talon watches this scene in shock. You're a Kulfu heretic. You only realize now how perceptive. The mercenary captain smiles. Let's cooperate. Mutual benefit. After saying this, he whistles. Talon's abdomen sends intense pain again. He has no choice. The mercenary captain orders 2 subordinates to guard the gate. No entry or exit. The rest enter the town to find that thief. However, the no entry or exit order quickly causes major trouble. A hot-blooded youth insists on leaving the town now. He doesn't even heed the mercenaries' warnings. He leaves the words "you have no right to stop me" and prepares to force his way through. But at this moment, a mercenary grabs his head with one hand, then lifts him high. This isn't strength a normal human should have. Their faces are blank, and their eyes emit an eerie green light. I'm hungry. As the words fall, his mouth splits open grotesquely. But just as he's about to eat the young man, an arrow suddenly pierces through his mouth. Moments later, Azadin descends from above, driving a spear straight through the mercenary's head, watching countless tiny spiders crawl from the wound. He knows these people are subordinates of the Kulfu Pantheon's Spider Queen Arachne. Even more outrageous, the mercenary with a pierced head isn't dead. He gets up and launches an attack on Azadin. Though it doesn't hit, this still shocks him considerably. Surviving fatal damage, those spiders must have taken taken control of the nervous system. Azadin exchanges multiple rounds with the two mercenaries, but physical attacks are completely ineffective against them. As the fight continues, the two mercenaries even evolve spider legs. What a pain. Azadin is muttering when suddenly a voice rings out. Then Melanie, who's arrived, acts with quick eyes and hands. She pulls a torch from the wagon and tosses it over. Azadin catches it and swings it. The flame's high heat burns the mercenaries, forcing them back repeatedly. The spiders inside them greatly fear heat. These little bugs will be cooked with just a bit of warmth. Aiden brings several torches and lights them, surrounding the mercenaries. They're terrified, trying to escape the torch encirclement but can't. Nearby villagers also notice this scene and join in throwing torches. Finally, the two mercenaries are burned to death without resistance. How was my help? Very timely, right? Melanie boasts. You'll definitely need us in many places from now on. So shouldn't you accept us? At this moment, the owl swoops down. A petitioner appeared but is dead. Which direction? West. Just died. Damn it. Azadin curses and prepares to head to the west gate. You two prepare fire sources. We're going to the west gate. Before he finishes speaking, Azadin has already rushed off urgently. Is he starting to order us around now? But on the way, mercenaries transformed into spider monsters pounce. But the moment they enter Azadin's attack range, he launches slashes with lightning speed. But no matter how severely injured, the mercenaries simply won't die. Humans would have fallen long ago. Not to mention these guys keep mutating, and their numbers are rapidly increasing. Azadin can't even reach the petition site now. At this moment, an arrow suddenly flies in and hits the target. With a crackling sound, in a flash, several spiders are blasted black. As expected, they fear fire and electricity too. Melanie, who's arrived, hasn't finished speaking when sudden dizziness strikes her. The Golden Bird's verse is a colorless magic tome. Magic, like lightning strike that releases current, is too inefficient, but being able to use lightning strike at your age is already impressive. Worthy of Itaria House, truly admirable. Hearing Azadin's praise, Melanie beams with joy. Azadin shrugs. Rest a bit, seems your magic is depleted. But watching this warm scene, Aiden grits his teeth. Melanie tries so hard just to get his recognition. The West Gate has become a hellish battlefield. Once the mercenaries taste blood, they become excited and begin slaughtering wantonly. Their bodies mutate even faster as a result. The mercenary captain and Talon coldly observe all this. Hey, is this really okay? Didn't you say you wanted to find the Divine King's tome fragment? Talon questions the mercenary captain. Though it's somewhat different from expectations, it's progressing smoothly. Progressing smoothly? Hey, at this rate, how could the person with the Divine King's tome come to this town? The mercenary captain doesn't speak. As he walks past a pile of corpses, he suddenly notices a triangle symbol drawn on the ground. What's this? A triangle on the ground? It's a money demon, Talon suddenly exclaims. Money demon? You mean the Emperor's Pathfinders? The mercenary captain tilts his head puzzled. Seems so. Those people also seem to be searching for the Divine King's tome. Maybe the one who stole my stuff is one of them. Do you want to fight a money demon? Talon asks nervously, but before he finishes, an arrow shoots toward him. Fortunately, it misses. The mercenary captain on the other side easily catches the arrow with his hand. Interesting. Really fast. The mercenary captain just tosses the arrow away when another arrow flies toward his face. You still don't understand? The mercenary captain scoffs and reaches to catch it, but it's too late. The arrow directly hits his head, deliberately shooting the first arrow weaker to make me lower my guard, huh? The mercenary captain says while spreading his arms. 6 spider legs rapidly grow from his body. Azadin bypasses Talon and charges straight at the mercenary captain. A blade flashes. The slash hits his abdomen. Ha, so this is the Emperor's messenger? How interesting. The mercenary captain begins exchanging blows with Azadin. Talon, watching from the side, is stunned. Honestly, whichever of these two wins isn't good for him. Mommy, I miss you. Talon sits on the ground crying. Azadin and the mercenary captain's battle rages fiercely. The mercenary captain's spider legs are repeatedly cut off, but with super regeneration ability, they continuously grow back. So this is a leader? Maintaining human rationality even in spider form. You're strong, I admit, but you cannot kill me. The mercenary captain's body begins evolving again, but Azadin across from him shows no emotion, because he's already guessed the opponent's weakness. Nature's force of Kazakh. Azadin's body suddenly transforms into black mist and vanishes. In the blink of an eye, he appears behind the mercenary captain, Parasitic Vine, accompanied by a flashing blade. The mercenary captain's head flies off. Talon, watching this troublesome mercenary captain instantly killed, panics. Aren't you a pathfinder? Then you can't kill me, because look at this! Talon hurriedly pulls out a small object from his pocket, an emperor's coin. Azadin hesitates and stops. Where did you get this? My mother gave it to me. Talon smiles with relief. See, seems mother was right. The Pathfinder clan can be commanded with emperor's coins. Even if you have a coin, without a petition it's useless. Damn it, I got it, Talon mutters, and tosses the coin into a nearby carved triangle. The coin immediately vanishes. Golden light illuminates the triangle. How's that? Now I'm your employer, right? I'm infected by that spider. Save me quickly. Your petition is accepted. The emperor's voice announces the petition's acceptance in place of the Pathfinder. Azadin sighs. Why must even garbage petitions like this be accepted? The owl turns its head without speaking. Talon beside them weeps bitterly. Mother, I survived. Soon after, Melanie and Aiden arrive here. Understanding the whole story, both are stunned. So this guy made a petition? Right, it's fine. Azadin turns to look at Melanie. Can you use lightning strike again? Control the power to be weaker. Melanie is silent for a few seconds. Since we're clanmates, I can help you, but I'm not even your subordinate, and alright. Azadin raises his hands in surrender. I'll take you as my attendant afterward. Thank you. I'll do my absolute best. In complete contrast to Melanie's excited attitude, Aiden beside them looks worried. I've never seen Melanie so eager for someone's attention. Since childhood, whatever Melanie asked him to do, Aiden executed without blinking, but such devotion seems to have never gotten her attention. This isn't fair. Then I'll begin. Melanie rubs her hands together. Wait. What if I die? Ignoring Talon's protests, Melanie uses the lightning magic lightning strike. After being hit, Talon screams and falls to the ground. As expected, lightning strike can clear the infected spiders inside, though it damages the body too. It's much better than being tormented by spiders. Anyway, mission complete. Melanie tells Azadin and her body sways. Azadin is startled. Are you okay? Sorry, seems I pushed you too hard. I'll be fine after resting. Itaria house descendants aren't that weak. Moments later, Talon recovers some strength. Feeling the small spiders crawl out from inside, he strangely blushes. This scene makes everyone freeze instantly. Why are you looking at me like that? Don't develop strange preferences, dear child. Azadin mocks. Since his request is complete, can we kill him now? Aiden asks. Melanie and Azadin's intimacy annoys him. What did you say? Talon is shocked, but Azadin stops him verbally. Aiden, don't talk nonsense. Once the Emperor accepts his petition, it means he's an individual worth protecting. Even after completing the petition, we must treat them sincerely. Besides, the Emperor's voice needs to draw spiritual energy from the petitioner. Aiden feels helpless. Then can we leave here now? Azadin lowers his head. He wants to clear out the spider mercenaries in town, but he's afraid these two youngsters will nag endlessly. Fortunately, footsteps suddenly come from outside the town. We are from the Holy King's order. Looking up, a group of people is rushing urgently this way. Good. Leave the spider mercenaries to them. Let's go. But just as Azadin's group prepares to leave, Talon calls out to them. Wait, take me too. Once the Holy King's order investigates me, I'm finished. At least take me somewhere without radiant knights. You said even after completing the task, you'd treat petitioners sincerely, right? Azadin is silent for a long time. Finally, he helplessly brings him along. Afterward, Azadin's group escapes Waystation Town through the west gate. After traveling for a long time, they decide to lodge at a farmer's house. Talon is dressed as a knight. The farmers recognize him at a glance and freeze in fear. We need a place to stay. Take us quickly. Before Talon finishes, Melanie and Aiden cover his mouth. We'd like to use the farm for the night during our journey, Azadin says, handing a silver coin to the farmer. Just lending us the barn or warehouse is fine. The farmer gladly accepts. Why did you stop me? These colonists are essentially just a bunch of lazy bugs. Azadin doesn't argue. He pushes open the barn door. You're right. But a noble person like you is now with us too, aren't you? Forget it. I can't outtalk you. Talon gives up arguing and walks into the barn together. Think before you speak, dear child. I have a name. Talon. I know, dear child, the barn is large. They decide to keep the goats on the first floor, then go rest on the second. Hey, what if there are lice here? Would that be worse than having spiders in your stomach? Azadin mocks. Either way, I absolutely can't sleep in a place like this. But within a few minutes, Talon's snoring rings out. What kind of people are the Holy King's order? People seem both afraid and happy about their arrival. Melanie suddenly asks Azadin this question. They're radiant knights who uphold the law of 8 kings, learn white magic, and provide protection to people. So most people welcome them, Azadin says, turning to look at Talon. But in fact, they're filled with immoral villains. They steal far more than they protect. Just like this guy? Melanie is stunned.